I'm reviewing Scare Me, a new horror movie directed by Josh Rubin. If that name sounds familiar, then you may know Josh Rubin from his time working at College Humor, directing sketches and playing outlandish characters from Gail Baggy to Yeardsley Tinsley. I was a gigantic fan of earlier College Humor. Watching Jake and Amir, Bleep Bloop, and Hardly Working was a huge part of my middle school and high school years. I've followed what some of my favorites from the College Humor crew have done after departing the website. I know Streeter and Sarah went on to write for Saturday Night Live, David wrote for Jimmy Fallon, Jake and Amir started a great podcast network, HeadGum. So, hearing that Josh Rubin had not just made a movie, but that he had made a horror movie that played at the Sundance Film Festival, I 1000% wanted to watch Scare Me as soon as it came out. Anyway, with all that pre-review rambling out of the way, Scare Me is about two writers stuck in a secluded cabin after a power outage who go back and forth sharing their spookiest, scariest stories in an attempt to frighten the other. It's an awesome premise. It's almost like an anthology as you hear one tale after the next. Going in, I was actually expecting a straight-up anthology, that the storytelling would just be a framing device to hold together a bunch of horror shorts. You know, cutting away to show a new story as they start to tell them, maybe with a bit of voiceover narration. However, in Scare Me, we never cut away from inside the cabin. We don't get to see the horrors that are being described. The characters stay on screen and instead act out their stories for us. While that may sound lame or less engaging, I can assure you it is far from it. I'm really glad it was done this way. It all felt very fresh. It is a super unique movie with a super unique presentation. The way certain elements from their stories creep into the cabin is really well done. You see shadows on the wall and flashes of monster hands creeping around corners. The sound design is excellent also. Creaks, bangs, scratches, and moans are added to flesh out their tales, and these sound effects do a lot to add to the atmosphere. It did not feel like I was just sitting listening to stories. I was completely sucked in and immersed throughout, and the time just flew by. Both lead performances are great. The previously mentioned Josh Rubin plays Fred, and Aya Cash, who you may know as Stormfront from The Boys, plays Fanny. They go all out, making ridiculous faces, doing voices, crawling on the ground, hopping around, creeping up the stairs slowly. They perform as each character in their stories and don't hold anything back in doing so. While they are telling horror stories throughout, this is a horror comedy that leans more to comedy. Parts are definitely suspenseful, especially towards the finale. There was one scene where the person I was watching this with had their eyes covered the entire time. But ultimately, I was laughing more than I was gripping my chair in this. This is funnier than it is scary. That's not a critique, just don't be disappointed if this isn't the scariest movie you see in 2020. Overall, I had a lot of fun with Scare Me. It's funny, it knows what it is, it has good pop-ups. I was consistently drawn in and entertained. I was never bored. I was always excited to hear the next story that was coming. The leads were funny, the stories were interestingly shot and presented. In a genre with a lot of recycled stories, this one felt fresh, which is pretty much the highest compliment I can give. I really don't have anything negative to say here. Scare Me was an enjoyable collection of campfire stories that I think most people will enjoy watching. If Scare Me sounds like it's up your alley, it is available to watch right now on Shudder and Rental. If you don't have Shudder, you can use promo code SCARY30 for a free trial to watch Scare Me and any other horror movie you desire. Shudder is the best streaming platform for horror movies, hands down, and with it being October, I can't think of a better month to sign up. If you like this review, please consider subscribing. I post new horror content every Friday. I will continue to do so throughout the Halloween season, and I genuinely appreciate every bit of support for this channel. Thank you for watching my review of Scare Me. I will see you next week.